eFlip is a software that I use to find book outliers. I've covered this many times on this channel. Highly recommend that you check it out. But the very first thing that I like to do when I log into eFlip is I'm trying to get, as many sales as potentially possible because I'm going after maximum approval. Maximum approval is, essentially 2,000 sales in a 6-month period. Now, that's speculative. Nobody really knows. But I've heard many people say that if you can hit that number roughly, you can practically request to get ungated in a number of brands and a number of categories. And so that is my goal. I want to test it out and see for myself. So I'm always going after free books and very cheap books just to get sales, right? But I'm also sourcing very, high profit margin books to make money, right? I'm going after both of them. So the very first thing that I do is I'll sort. It starts like this right here when you have your ranks like down here roughly when you log into eFlip, okay? So what I usually like to do is I'll put the max rank all the way up just to see if there's any cheap books, and I'll hit search. And as you can see here, there's a book for 10 cents right here. So you're literally, if I click on this, you're literally getting this book for 10 cents to your door, and then you can obviously resell it. So it's basically a free book that you can then resell, and that's another sale, right? So then I only need, 5,999 sales in a 6-month period and not 6,000, right? So that's just my overall thought process there. This is a great way to kind of source free and cheap books using eFlip. Now, there's a number of other ways to source free books. You can go to Craigslist and pick up free inventory. I've done it on Letgo. I've done it on OfferUp, and, practically I think I gotten like 2,000 books. Maybe I'll flash a couple of those pictures up on the screen if I can find them. So it's easy ways to source cheap inventory, although keep in mind, the majority of those books you won't make a lot of money on. You're just looking for the sales. Now, don't get me wrong. There's the occasional book in there that does sell for like 50 or like $100, or like, there's a good amount of them that sell for like 10 and 20, and then you're still making money. But it's a lot of work, and the majority of them, you're breaking even or sometimes even losing money depending on the book. So keep that in mind with the free books. Although I'm not particular, I don't care about losing, like 10 cents on a book here and there, or even, listing them all to make like $1 or $2, because it's a lot of work, but I'm going after the sales for maximum approval. So just wanted to kind of spitball that there, give you some ideas, something to think about if you want to go that same route. But today I want to show you how to use eFlip to source books to make money, right? Because that's probably 99.9% of what people watching want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a number of different things, and I always use these bars right here differently each time I source so that I get different looks on different books each time, right? I want to go after different books because what I do is I sort this. Usually I do it on like Sunday when I'm watching football. I'll literally pop Red Zone on and I'll go through eFlip and I'll sort through like a couple hundred books, and maybe I'll end up buying like 20 to 50 depending on how many good books I'm offering. Now, when I say these numbers and I'm like, I usually source 20 books or I usually source 20 products, guys, that is if there are that many good products or that many good books, okay? So don't just go out and source that number because I said that that's what I source. That is assuming the fact that I found 20 good offers, right? Or 50 good offers. I'm not just sourcing to source. I'm only sourcing profitable books that I know are going to sell, okay? And same thing with any other form of arbitrage. You're not just going after the numbers. Your goal is to make money, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up to like 2000 and we'll go 2010. Because I want more relevant books that are still in use, right? So we'll drop the max rank all the way down to we'll go we'll go $399.99, and we'll also go $399.99 here. Because books, my usual rule of thumb for most categories is 100,000, but because we're moving into the heart of Q4, what is a 399,000 rank? Well, first and foremost, books sell a lot more, so like something that's 500,000 in books might actually be selling, whereas something that's 500,000 in a different category might be selling literally zero and have never sold before, right? So it's different. Books have a higher sales velocity. Usually, do your product research. Each book is different, okay? But generally speaking, you can sell a book that has a higher bestseller rank because it does have sales. And I'm sourcing these a little bit higher right here because I know firsthand that that bestseller rank is going to drop a little bit as we move into the heart of Q4 and into textbook season. So I'm looking for good opportunities to, source good inventory right now that I can then make money off of in the future. Now, I'm also going to pull up my spreadsheet right here because I do have a few spreadsheets that I kind of do. And what I like to do is I'll keep track of when I purchased it, how much I purchased it for, all sorts of stuff. When it loads, I'll show you here in a second. All right, so the plan was to show you one of my book spreadsheets that I use to kind of track all this stuff that I buy. but for whatever reason, something is going on with my computer. So not only can I not see my Excel sometimes, but right here, if you kind of look into my OBS, usually you can't. So this is the software that I'm using to record. I literally always use. I have other paid ones, but I still find that this is the easiest and the best to use. So the reason I'm telling you this is something's going on clearly because I can't see any text. There's usually text here that shows like my video, my audio, and then this is like the record button, and I just know that. So something is clearly going on with my computer. I need to reboot it, but we're just going to power through this. We're going to laugh. Team PC, I guess. What are you going to do about it? So I want to show you enough about that. It's just a little funny. I wanted to be a little bit transparent because it was driving me nuts where I was going to flash forward to it, but then I was just like, you know what, the hell with it. I'm just going to move forward because you're here for the books. So $3.99 max rank, right? So max new offers. I'm not going to change this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Usually I do, but I'm just going to keep it that way today. Max trade-in values, no limit. Minimum trade-in value will go like $2, okay? We'll start low. So what I like to do is I like to start really, really broad, right? And if there's a number of searches, then I'll slowly kind of make it specific and I'll hone it in and then I'll sort through, right? But for the sake of just showing you today, I'm going to start really broad and then obviously you'd hit search, right? And if it comes up with a number of different things and you're sorting through some books and maybe you sort like through 10 or 20 and you're not finding a good one, right, then you want to go back and make your searches more specific. So then maybe you'd come up and you'd make this like $2.50, right? Or maybe you make this like $4, right? And that's my approach, but you can approach it however you want. That's just what works for me, okay? So maximum Amazon price, I'm not going to set a max, but minimum Amazon price for a new book, because like I said, you can sort. I've said this a million times, and I have countless tutorials on this channel. If you want to check out the other eFlip tutorials, a link down in the bottom of the description. I'll also drop a card up in the right-hand corner right now. So we'll go minimum Amazon price. We'll go like $12. We'll also go minimum new price $12, and we'll go minimum used price. We'll go $3. And we'll hit search and we'll see what pops up. Now, like I said, I like to keep it very, very broad initially. You can see countless tutorials in that playlist of me sourcing through different, different parameters here on these actual checklists. But I'm going to keep it really, really broad real fast, and then we'll make it more specific as we go. So right off the bat, and this is not always the case, but this is what I use to kind of decipher what might be a good book buy and what might not be. So I look for the discrepancy in used versus new, right? Now that is not always an indicator, but it is a good indication of something that might be a good potential profit margin. So we'll pull up let's go through the first one real fast. So Transforming Healthcare, Virginia Mason. And one thing I do like about eFlip as well is if you click one of the books, it'll go gray, right? So then it'll not only show you green, which one you've clicked last and which one you're focused on, but it'll also show you which ones you haven't clicked and which ones you have. So this one's gray, obviously, and if I click down on something else, you'd see that. And the rest of them are still green because I haven't clicked and checked out those books yet. So the very first thing I want to do, right, is I want to see, all right, is it a good opportunity to buy it used potentially, and is it a good opportunity to buy it new? So there's two different things there, right? So the cheapest book right here is used good, and we have a few of them right here at like $6, right up over $6. So then I want to see what the buy box price is, because with books, there's usually a buy box for new and a buy box for used, okay? So the buy box new, there's not really an opportunity there to make a good book, because even if we sell it at $11.49, it's going to cost us more in Amazon fees and shipping in usually. Let's see if AMZ Scout Calculator works. Of course, it was working earlier. Let's pull up the FBA calculator. A lot going wrong in this tutorial, but we're going to power through it. That's what entrepreneurs do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come down and we'll take the ASIN or the ISBN for books, right? And we're going to paste that in. Now we want to select one that has the product details in there because we're really just focused on the weight and the size of the book to get a good indicator of whether or not it'll be profitable based on historical fees that Amazon charges for that type of product, right? So our price, and I'm going to show you that this is not profitable buying it, selling used, is about $11.50, right? So we'll say $11.49. Shipping into Amazon, we'll say 50 cents, even though it'll probably be a little bit cheaper because I ship in a bunch of books at once or a bunch of products at once. I never ship one-off books or even like a couple books at once. And the cost of our product, I think, was like $6, right? So just off the bat, we'll show you how unprofitable this is. Net margin of negative $3.35. So clearly there's not an opportunity to buy this used on Amazon, right? And then ship it into FBA to get the buy box and resell it as used. Although you can do that from time to time, right? So another way that you can check used that I do from time to time, but not always, is I'll come into Book Finder right here, and that's going to run the used on the right and the new offers on the left, right? What the heck? Excel's freaking out. So the cheapest that you can get this book used, and make sure always that you're not going after teacher, the instructor edition or the international edition. It must be the same edition that is listed on the product detail page. So no international editions, no instructor editions. Just make sure that you read the description. Just cross that off your checklist of everything that you're checking out when you're buying and sourcing a good book. So this is on Biblio for $3.88, but I'm pretty sure that still would be a bad profit margin. If we put $3.88 in there, it's probably still going to be negative. Yeah, negative $1. So not a good opportunity to buy this book anywhere used and then resell it, right? But can we buy it new? Is there a good opportunity new? So the new buy box here is $38.12, right? So we want to come back and we want to see, okay, if we buy this on eBay for 25 bucks, would it be profitable, right? So if we change these numbers right here to 30, we'll go 38 just roughly, and we'll go, the buy box price was 25, or the price on eBay was 25. Is it a profitable product? And it is, but barely at 18 cents. So that's still not a good product, okay? And I practically knew that going in because the discrepancy there isn't that great. And I would probably want to go after and look at other and kind of hone down my searches. But for the sake of showing you examples here of why they might be bad or why they might not be good books to source or why they might be, I'm going to keep it broad and show you, right? So now I'm also looking for discrepancies, and this might end up being a good book, but the discrepancy right here in used and new prices, as you can see in these things, is not even close to some of these other ones, right? So I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to check the other ones first. So I might check this one because that's a $22 discrepancy. I might check this one because that's almost a $40 discrepancy, if not a little bit more. And same thing with this one, right? So the 78. So let's pull up Getting to Know whatever that is real fast, and we'll check that out. So used very good for $11.98 or roughly 12, maybe almost 13 bucks with tax, right? So then we're going to check the buy boxes, right? So the used buy box right here is $29.75, okay? And they have a used good, and we're going to buy a used very good, so a better condition for maybe like 13 bucks. So let's take this product to ASIN or ISBN. I always say ASIN, but books are ISBN. It's the same thing. It's just the book version of the ASIN, right? So we're going to try another product, and we're going to paste that into the FBA calculator to see if it's profitable. Shipping to Amazon will estimate 50 cents, even though that's a bit high, but I like to be a little bit more conservative just to adjust for any potential pricing discrepancies or changes. I just like to be a little bit more conservative. Our item price, so the item price is $29.75, right? That's the buy box price. And we might even be able to sell it a little bit higher because my metrics are good. My seller metrics are good, and we're going to have a very good book versus a good book, right? So the better, condition and better seller metrics means you can probably sell it a little bit higher price, but I don't like to bank on that. That's something I'll test when I get into inventory, right? I want to make sure that it's profitable for sure ahead of time. So we have all those numbers. What are we going to source it for, right? We'll estimate a little bit over, right? So about 12 bucks plus 72, so we'll estimate about $13. So is that profitable if we source that? And it is, but it's only profitable for about $4. So then you have to ask yourself, is this something you'd want to go after? Now, this is something I'd probably go after, right? Because I have a little bit more capital to throw out books, and I'm more interested in sales, right? Because like I told you before, yeah, I want to make money, and making money is my number one priority on these books, but I'll also buy cheap books, and I'll also buy, books like this with lower profit margins just to get the sale for me. Because I know full-heartedly that I'm also going after maximum approval, and I need to hit 6,000 sales in a 6-month period, right? So not the best opportunity to buy a used book. I'm going to keep that one on the side. But you can still buy it, and it is still profitable, and you end up making maybe like $3 or $4 depending on that. So if we put the real numbers in here, let's say hypothetically I sold this at like 32, right? Because I could get the buy box at a little bit higher of a price. Now, that's not something that I'd bank on, and that's not something that is 100% sure. I very well might not be able to. But let's just see the numbers. So let's assume if we put the real numbers in here at like $12.78, which I think it was roughly with the tax, right? And I assume that I could sell it a little bit higher. Well, then that changes the game a little bit because then you're buying the product for about $12.78 and you're getting like a 50% profit margin, right? So I always like to take a conservative estimate with a calculator, but that's just the way that I approach it, okay? So let's see if this is a good opportunity to buy it new. And keep in mind, too, that I wouldn't just buy this one. I'd probably buy this one, and I'd probably buy this one. And then I wouldn't buy the acceptable one. But those are roughly the same price, and I'd get 3 pieces of inventory there And then I would obviously put them in my spreadsheet, but because my spreadsheet isn't working right now, we're not going to do that, okay? So I'm going to reboot my computer, then I'm going to come back and buy this book, and maybe I'll buy all three if they're still there, right? So let's run through a couple of other examples here, but before we do that, I want to see if it's a good opportunity to buy it new, right? So new buy box is sold by Amazon.com, but that doesn't usually scare me away because, believe it or not, Amazon will share the buy box with you if you price it the same as them. They will share the buy box with you. Granted, they'll take more of the sales probably, but they do share the buy box with you, assuming you have good seller metrics and you match their price and you're not racing to the bottom with them, right? So don't ever, get in a racing battle, especially with books. Always just match the buy box whether you're selling against Amazon or another seller. It doesn't really matter. So the new buy box is $84.33. So what we want to do then is we want to come back to this and we're going to come to the book finder to see if maybe there's a better opportunity to buy this used, so for cheaper than whatever that was, 13 bucks, or maybe there's a better opportunity to buy it new and then ship it into FBA, okay? So right here, 11 bucks, that might be something I want to look into as well. So I can get this used on eBay, which is cheaper than $13, right? So it's cheaper than the detail page right here. And I might end up sourcing this, so that might be a $4, right? Unless there's shipping here, but I haven't checked that. So that's something that I would check, obviously, but I don't want to waste your time. So that might be another used book that I'll buy. So I'll buy 4 of those, and then my profit margin might be, $16 after buying all those, and I have $4 or 4 sales as well, okay? So those aren't ideal. You guys probably are looking for better profit margins. Let's see if we can find one really fast. So 51.19, probably not a good profit margin. There's probably not much to be made there, but we'll take it into the FBA calculator and I'll show you. So we'll say 52 bucks to round up, and we'll say the item price is 83 to round down because it was 83 something. Then what is our profit margin? Okay, so the profit margin is 10 bucks, not bad, but then you have to ask yourself, do you really want to spend $52 to make 10 bucks? Most of you probably don't want to, although you can. This is profitable to buy new, but you just got to ask yourself that question. So I'm not going to do that because I know that there's so many other better books out there to do that. And the reason I would do this for used is because they'll probably sell pretty quickly, and I'm not spending $50 per each book to do it. I'm only spending $10, right? So it's $40 instead of $200. So let's find a better example right here. $63.98, discrepancy is $12.53. Let's see if this is a good one. So the opportunity here is to buy this for like maybe 12 bucks. I don't even know what that adds up to, but let's see if the buy box prices are something that we can make money off of. So used buy box price actually is $36.89 and it's used good. So this might actually be a good opportunity, although this is used acceptable conditions, so keep that in mind. But if you sent this in, the buy box price right now is about $36.89. I've been seeing that if you match the buy box price, they're going to have the buy box more often than not, but you will get potential sales and you will share the buy box even with a slightly lower condition, assuming you have decent seller metrics, okay? So then we want to add this up. That's like $8.50 plus, so $12.50, maybe like, we'll say like $13.25 roughly is what you're sourcing it for, right? So we want to get the ASIN of this, or the ISBN, and we're going to try another product, and this might be a good opportunity to show you a one that you can buy used. So we'll say ship to Amazon's 50 cents. Like I always say, it's a little bit high. Cost of our product, I think was $13.25. And the buy box price for used is $36.89. So many tabs up. $36.89, right? So is it profitable? And it is at $10. So this is a great opportunity to buy this book used, and something I literally will buy as well. So let me pull this one over as well, because I would buy it right now after this video, but of course I have to remember the URLs because my Excel is not working, which is still a little bit funny to me. So this is a great opportunity to buy this book for $13.25 and then end up making $9.55 on it. You could also buy this one right here, although your margin would be a little bit lower. And keep that in mind that you could also go back to eFlip and see if there's a good opportunity to buy it used on Bookfinder for even cheaper or roughly the same price and source multiple SKUs of this inventory, right? So here, right here, 12 bucks right here, $12.50, $12.50, $12.50, $12.50, $13.50, all the way down to like 14. So I might end up buying all of these right here, depending on the sales rank of this. So I might end up with 6, right there, 7, plus maybe 2 more right here. So we're end up getting it roughly each one that might average out to like 12 or $12.50, right? So if we come back in, right, and we say the average here is $12.50, we're gonna have a profit margin of about 10 bucks. So we'll take this conservative estimate and say 10 bucks. I was going to get the calculator, but we don't even need the calculator for that calculation, right? So I think it was 7 total right here plus 8, 9. So then it ends up being $90 profit margin just for buying 9 books. But let's make sure that this actually has a good sales history right here. So it does. 59,000 in books, sells pretty well. Let's see if Jungle Scout's working, since my computer clearly isn't working right now. This is getting ridiculous. I might have to just buy a brand new computer. This thing's driving me nuts. So the ISBN, can we sell it? And we can. Boom. So that's a great book that I'm literally going to buy. I'm going to buy 9 of these on all of those, and then that's $90 profit margin for spending maybe 110, 120 bucks. So I'm turning 110, 120 bucks into like 220 or 230 or whatever that ends up being, right? I can't do math right now, but you get the picture. So then I want to see firsthand, I'm going to show you another example. Is this a good opportunity to buy this new, right? So we already deemed that I'm going to buy 9 of these copies used. So the new buy box is $79.19. Is there a good opportunity to buy it new? And there's not a good opportunity to buy it new because the cheapest new right here is $60. So what I want to say about this too is you can find good margins used, but a lot of times you're going to find lower risk margins used, right? So like the perfect example, like I just showed you, is like spending like 10 or 12 bucks to make another 10 or 12 bucks, right? So it's like practically getting 100% return, if not a little bit lower on your investment, and you're only spending like 10 or 20 bucks, right? With the new books, you're going to have to sort through a number of books, but all you need to do is find one or two or maybe like 10 books to really scale up, and then your margins are going to be like 20 or 50 or sometimes 150 bucks on new books. So newer side of things is more marginal, right? You're going to have more profit margin, but you're going to have to spend more on the books to get into that profit margin. Whereas on the used side of things, you don't have to spend as much, but you're not going to make as much in your margin. So it just depends on whether you want lower risk and lower returns or higher risk and higher returns. But if you're vetting your books, they will definitely sell, especially this time of year, because we're moving into the heart of Q4, and we're also moving into spring textbook season in January and February. Okay, so use this tutorial. Go out and test eFlip for yourself. I believe that there's like a 30-day trial or a 15-day trial, and then it's super cheap after that. I think it's like $70 a month. So if you can source just one book that's going to pay for that, then the rest of your month is 100% profit.